What is up, everybody? Today we're gonna be reacting to horror stories today. Now, this is inspired by one of the best YouTubers in the game, Corey X Kinchin. That is literally my inspiration of YouTube. I started like literally this guy. He, I wanted to start reactions really. So we just gonna go. Let's go. Let's go. School horror story
This is what I
anime.
experienced when I was 17.
Alright, what's
At
up?
that time, I was in good shape because I mastered many sports, such as boxing and wrestling.
I mean, do you guys want to see a picture of me? Like, I know I ain't got no pictures, but I could put a picture of me right there. Hold up, right here. Oh shit, God.
A notorious delinquent at my school asked me for a fight.
Oh,
I was bewildered and said,
bro,
"If I hit you,
bro is bugged.
you'll go straight to heaven." But I shouldn't have
I
said
think
this.
he might be right.
He suddenly shouted in anger,
I'll chew you to pieces, eat you up, and then take a shit.
Oh,
I was perplexed, but I realized there was nothing I could do. He ran up to me and punched me, and I punched him back as I was enraged. He was knocked down to the floor by my fist, and blood started dripping from his nose. I tried to help him up, saying I'm sorry and let's stop this, but he grabbed me, knocked me over, and started beating me. I was infuriated and punched him badly. He fell down again and couldn't get up as he was in pain. I kept yelling at him to stop, but he was already half mad. He got up again and shouted as he approached me.
Let's fight!
I shouted,
oh.
Please stop! You're
Hold
gonna
up,
dance!
hold up. Damn, bro. Yo, bro got. Yo, oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Why does bro look like the skeleton emoji?
Fight!
I shouted.
Please stop! You're gonna die if you keep doing that.
He said, smirking.
Of course, one of us must die.
He pounced on me, and I picked him up and pinned him to the ground. He broke his neck, got up with his neck broken, and ran back at me. I tripped him with my leg, and he broke his arm as he fell down. He pounced on me with his arms broken as well. I yelled at him to stop, but he ran at me screaming.
I'll stop when you die!
I kicked him really hard, and he flew 10 feet away.
Bro,
He fell to
oh
the
my
floor and tried to get
God.
up, but his whole body seemed to be broken, and it seemed that he couldn't move. I called the police right at that moment. The police arrived, and he was taken away in an ambulance. He was hospitalized and taken to the intensive care unit. I was
Bro should've
injured
never acted
as I was
right.
beaten up by him as well, but there were no major injuries. And after a while, I received another text message from him. There were 2 words written on that message.
Bro, don't tell me he
Let's fight.
Bro.
I eventually called
He
him,
already beat your
apologized,
ass.
and told him I gave up. Then there was silence for a few seconds, and I heard him whispering, "Let's fight." My whole body trembled. He didn't listen to anything I said. His only goal was to fight me. I blocked his number. After a while, I received a letter. In the letter, once again, 2 words were written. Let's fight. A few days later, I heard a knock and looked outside to find Alexander standing there. He was limping with a cast on his arm. I called the police, but he continued to hover around my neighborhood. I ended up moving, and I haven't heard from him since. Years passed, and I ran into my old high school friend Luke, and while talking with him, I happened to hear about Alexander. After he fought with me, he kept challenging other friends at school to fight, and most of the kids refused and avoided him, but one of them, a friend named Nicholas, accepted the fight, and in the end, the 2 of them fought until Alexander killed him with his bare hands.
Yo.
In the end, Alexander went to prison. I was horrified. He had meant everything he ever said. If I hadn't suppressed him then, I wouldn't be alive now.
I guess this one. Story 1.
My husband Thomas and I moved into our dream house last year.
Alright.
It was this 2-story house in the suburbs. Blue paint, a yard with a garden, and my own private bathroom. I thought it was perfect. I always wanted to live in a neighborhood like this, ever since I was a kid.
Bro, there's no way that you just pulled that right there. Oh, you know what? It's an animation. What am I talking about?
Kid watching the Brady Bunch on TV. On the first day there, I was unpacking boxes when I heard a knock on the door. I went to answer it, but saw that Thomas had already let the woman in.
Who?
Thomas introduced her
It's
as
the
our next-door neighbor, Martha.
Okay.
She was an older woman, kind of plumped,
Bro, she looks
and our
like she's
first new
70.
friend in the neighborhood. She seemed so nice, and she gave me a bouquet of carnations as a housewarming present.
Oh, that's nice. That's nice.
She told us about how sad she was to see her last neighbors leave, and how excited she was to meet her new neighbors. At the end of the conversation, she gave me a big hug and left. When she was gone, though,
Nice, right?
Thomas looked at me and said, "Can you believe her?" I didn't know what he meant. "She seemed nice," I said. "That is the fakest human being I've ever met in my life," he said.
What do you mean, bro?
"You didn't see that?"
What?
"No," I told him.
That's all.
"I like her." "Well, try not to invite her over.
She does
At least
look
not until we get to know her a little better." "No problem," I said. I didn't need to invite Martha over because she came over the very next day.
What?
This time, she brought a pie.
Do not eat
Thomas
that
wasn't
pie.
home at the time, and I knew he didn't trust her.
Do not
But
eat
it would be
pie,
really
bro.
rude of me to turn her away. So I invited her in, and we had some coffee. Once again, it was an extremely nice visit. She seemed to be a great listener. We talked for about an hour.
Y'all, number one, don't ever let anybody inside your house without permission. That's all I gotta say. Why would you just let this woman inside your house? I mean, I get that you didn't want to be mean, but still, I could have said, "Man, I'm busy all today. I can't work out. I mean, I can't hang out." And like I would just never let anybody in my house unless I knew them, like, personally, like, stuff. But anyways, let's get back to the video.
And then she used my bathroom and left.
She probably put a camera. Why is there a fucking ad?
Thomas got home
definitely
later
put
that night,
cameras
and I
in that
didn't
bathroom.
plan on telling him that Martha had come over. I didn't want us to get into an argument. But as I was getting ready for bed, I noticed that my entire jewelry box was empty.
Oh,
All of my expensive jewelry had
Oh.
been stolen.
oh
I
really?
knew that we hadn't lost any of it in the move, because I'd gone through my jewelry that morning.
Bro,
Martha had been the only other person in the house that day. It had to be her. Right away, I told Thomas everything. "I'm going to go over there and talk to her right now," he said. I could tell by his expression that he was ready for a fight. "Maybe I should just call the police and report the robbery," I said. "I don't want anyone to get hurt." "You can't do that," he told me. "This lady is crazy. She's
Yeah.
probably a kleptomaniac or something. If you call the police on her on our first day here, she's going to make our lives miserable. Trust me, I've dealt with crazy people before." That was definitely true. Thomas was a social worker for the government and told me some pretty intense stories. "Then let me talk to her myself," I said. "I'll just go over there and ask her. I won't accuse her of anything." He looked doubtful at my idea, but that didn't stop me. I walked over to Martha's door and knocked. She opened the door and smiled. "Sorry to bother you," I said, "but all my jewelry has gone missing. I wondered if you knew anything about it." "Me? Of course not. What are you accusing me of?" "I'm not accusing you of anything," I said. "I just want to know." I froze in her doorway. She had just pulled back the hair behind her ear, and I could see that she was wearing a pair of my earrings. "Those are mine," I shouted, and she slammed the door in my face. I went back home, defeated and furious. I told Thomas everything and he started laughing. "That lady is something else," he said. I still wanted to call the police, but Thomas had another idea. He suggested we just go to her house when she's not home and steal my jewelry back. I thought this plan was insane, but he wouldn't back down. He said it was the only way to put her in her place. "Fine," I told him, "but we're doing this together, and no one is getting hurt." He got a big smile on his face, as if I agreed to go bungee jumping with him or something. He went to our kitchen window and waited there. It gave him the perfect view of Martha's house. After about an hour, he screamed out in excitement and called me into the room. He said that Martha had just driven away. It was our turn now.
Alright.
We hopped the fence into Martha's backyard.
Oh my god.
We tried the
why?
door, but of
Yo,
course
what
it
if
was
she
locked.
actually didn't steal
After
this
searching
shit?
around, I saw
can
that
tell
there
she
was a
might-
basement
like,
window
where's she
just above the
actually-
ground that was half open. It wasn't very big, but I knew that I could squeeze through.
Yo, she definitely got something skanky inside of her house. Like she probably has like fucking bodies there and shit.
I also knew that Thomas
literally.
couldn't. He was a little chubby. So I told him to wait outside as my lookout while I snuck inside and grabbed my jewelry. Even though it was his idea, Thomas looked a little nervous about me going in there alone. But I convinced him.
No.
I squeezed through the window and found myself in the dark basement.
Oh my god.
When I turned the light on, I saw
Oh.
shelves filled with stolen wallets and clothes and other valuables. It was like a treasure vault in there.
Fuck, bro.
Martha must have been stealing from everyone she knew. I found a plastic bag filled with all of my jewelry on one of the
Yo,
shelves.
call the police,
She didn't
bro.
even bother to put it in a jewelry box. Some of these pieces were worth hundreds of dollars, and she shoved them in a Ziploc. I grabbed the bag and ran back toward the window. I started to climb up the sill, but before I could get all the way through, I heard someone clear her throat behind me. Ahem. I couldn't see the person because my head was already outside, but I knew that Martha was right behind me. In the backyard, Thomas grabbed my hands to pull me out. "You're supposed to be the lookout," I shouted at him. I couldn't go all the way through because Martha had grabbed my legs and was trying to pull me back in. I guess she had more leverage, or maybe she was just stronger than Thomas, because he was able to pull me back into the basement. "You're trespassing," she said. "And you're a thief. Look at all this stuff," I told her. "Why do you do this?" "Why not?" she said with a smile. She grabbed a lawn gnome off the counter and slammed it against the side of my head. She was trying to knock me out, but it didn't quite work. The hit made me topple to the side and gave a piercing headache, but I was still awake, and I was determined to fight back. I picked up some kid's soccer trophy from a shelf and held it in front of me like a weapon. Martha kept swinging that lawn gnome at me,
Bro,
but I used the
swing
trophy
at
to
her,
block
bro.
myself. Then, with as much strength as I had, I knocked the gnome out of her hands. Now she didn't have a weapon.
Bro,
I
swing
threw the
her.
trophy at her, and it struck her in the temple.
Oh,
She
damn.
fell backwards onto the cold.
Bro, first off, bro, swing at her, bro. I'm supposed to be seeing a fucking. Like, that's what I'm supposed to be seeing right there, bro. Like, swing.
cold floor. She was out cold, and a single trickle of blood was dripping out of her nostril.
No.
Thomas helped me climb through the window, and we waited for the police to arrive. I guess Thomas had called them. I was terrified that I'd get arrested for what I did. Even though it was
Yeah.
self-defense, I was in her house, and now she was laying there, unconscious. Even if I told the police the truth, I didn't think they would believe me. But Thomas just smiled and told me that everything was going to be okay. When the two policemen got there, one went inside to take Martha to the ambulance, and the other asked us what happened. My heart was pounding in my chest. I started to tell him that it was just self-defense, but he clearly didn't believe me. Then Thomas said, "It's okay, just watch this." He pulled out his phone and started playing a video for the cop. I guess he'd filmed the whole thing through the basement window. His video showed that Martha was the one who started the fight. Martha was taken to the hospital where the doctors told her she had a mild concussion. The police, of course, found all of the stolen items in her house and have started to return them to their rightful owners. Thomas and I have met a dozen other neighbors since then, and none of them are as crazy as Martha.
I was 8 years old when my parents took me to Disneyland during
Damn, bro, I didn't get to start.
I was
Alright,
8
Story 3.
years old when my parents took me to Disneyland during my summer vacation. I was enthralled to see the place. The rides, the food, the kids going crazy.
Yeah.
Everything about it felt like I was in paradise.
Why do they look like zombies in the back? Literally.
After enjoying the theme parks, I had all the junk food I could. My mom then pointed at the gift shop, suggesting we buy some souvenirs. Everything they picked up was simple little trinkets,
That's fucking
little
FNAF.
keychains, fridge magnets, and other
He's
little
already
pieces.
FNAF
I
in
wasn't
Disney,
having
man.
any of it. It wasn't enough to encapsulate my feelings for the trip. After buying enough souvenirs, I rushed to take pictures with the Disney characters. My dad went on clicking as I posed with them. My eyes kept searching for Mickey, who I couldn't see at all. But then I finally spotted him. He was sitting on the bench ignoring everyone. I walked up to him, but he didn't seem to care.
Hey, Mickey, click a picture with me. Not now, kid. Why? I came all this way to meet you. Just get lost, you piece of crap. Oh.
Hey, watch your tongue!
Before I knew it, my dad was in a fight with Mickey. I was too young to realize that. The guy dressed as Mickey Mouse was probably having a bad day and wanted some time off. But being a kid, I made it worse for him. The security came rushing and separated him from my dad. He was covered in dirt and his costume was messed up in places. His big Mickey head still stayed on though, which is why I never got to see the man under that costume. Disneyland security insulted him for being unprofessional and behaving badly with me. They apologized to my parents and gave us gifts to take home.
Let's go, Adam. This freak has learned his lesson.
Saying this, my dad grabbed my hand and we started walking away. I turned around only once, and I saw the man in the Mickey Mouse attire standing like a statue and watching me. He just stood there, staring at me with those big Mickey eyes, and then suddenly waved slowly, like a real creepy slow hand movement. I don't know why my stomach dropped when he did that. Something at the back of my head told me I should have just left that guy alone.
Opera GX.
Yo, Vienna.
In the first place. We returned home and I simply went back to being a kid at school, sharing memories with other kids, kind of flexing my Disneyland
That
trip
boy
to
got a
them.
whole beard right
It
there.
wasn't until a few weeks later, weird things started to happen. One day, I was playing in the schoolyard. I was writing my name on the dirt with a stick, when my eyes noticed a tree far off in the distance. A thin black arm with a huge-sized white glove was waving at me from behind it. The immediate goosebumps made me shiver.
Adam!
I turned around hearing my friend's voice, but when I looked back, which was in a fraction of a second, the hand was gone. I came to the rationalization that I imagined it. However, things took a dark turn really quick. One night, I woke up feeling thirsty. My room has a big glass window facing the woods.
Oh nah, bruh. Yo, I feel so bad that people that just have windows in the like they just have like those type of windows and like rooms in the back. Like they just have a whole forest, but I feel so bad. Like that is just real creepy. Just imagine like a black figure just walking up to your window like that was, I don't know what that was.
I was drinking from my water bottle when I saw two black dome-shaped ears in the top half of big white
Stop it, bro. What the fuck?
eyes staring at me from outside my window. I rubbed my eyes and they were gone the very next moment. I got up to check if anyone was out there. It was silent, except for the tall trees. I didn't see anyone.
Mom! Dad!
I started screaming, hiding my sobbing face in my palm. My parents rushed to my room and I told them that the angry Mickey Mouse from Disneyland had followed me home.
He was right here, Dad! He jumped on me! I saw him at school too! He was right here!
Honey, there's no one in your room. It was a nightmare. Come, let me tuck you to sleep.
From then on, I was actively scared of anything Disney. Other kids would have their Disney toys, and I would shy away. They would bring up the Disney movie they saw the night before, and I would try to turn the conversation to another topic. I got rid of anything
Bro is scared of little Disney characters.
I had that was remotely Disney. Anything to ease my mind and erase the trauma I had experienced. It never worked.
Oh my god. My god. Alright, my bad guys. You know how it is, like when you're living with your parents. It's their rules, their rules. You have to do chores and stuff. Anyways, let's go.
But it helped. I was in junior high when my best friend decided to organize a Disney trip and asked me to join. I tried to deny the invitation, but he was my best friend. and wouldn't take no for an
You
answer.
think that same guy is just gonna be there after years and years you're growing up? Like, there's no way. That's so unrealistic.
So there I was at Disneyland again, after 8 long years. It was odd, but slowly, their novelty-sized eyes glaring at me, cold and dead. But I never saw Mickey Mouse though. When I came back to the hotel and thought everything was finally over, I had no idea what was waiting for me. I was passed out on my bed after a couple of beers when I heard a slow knock on the door.
Jack? Is that you?
I dragged my tipsy body to the door and
Damn, bro is red.
opened it thinking it was my friend,
He is
but there was no one outside.
What the?
And then I peeked outside to check the long hotel lobby. With my blurry vision, I noticed something in the distance. Something was standing at the end of the lobby.
Jack? Why are you?
But I couldn't finish what I was saying because now I had figured out it wasn't my friend Jack standing in the lobby. It was Mickey, standing there in his tattered costume. It was just like my dad turned it into during the fight 8 years ago. My jaw dropped. Drops of sweat appeared on my forehead. Mickey was just glaring, unmoving, disturbing.
But bro, it's not really his fault though, bro. It's his dad's fault for starting the fight, so why is he getting haunted? It's like, look, I'm gonna explain this in football terms. Basically, the kid has the ball. He passes it to the dad. Then the dad shoots. The goalkeeper, which is Mickey, misses. And then the dad makes the goal. I think that's how you explain it in football terms. I don't know.
The same way I saw him last at Disneyland. My heart started to race. I was too afraid to look away. He then slowly stretched his arms up like he was silently asking me to hug him. He tilted his head to the left, then to the right. His arms stayed up though. I couldn't take it anymore. I slammed shut the door, locked it from the inside and ran into the bathroom. I spent my entire night wide awake in fear lying in the bathtub. The next day, I boarded a flight home without telling what happened to me last night because I knew no one would believe it. Since then, I haven't seen Mickey, and one thing I'm sure of is that, no matter what, I'm keeping my kids the hell away from Disneyland. The story you just saw is loosely based on this creepy image found on the internet. There's no information about who took this photo, but one can say it's taken at Disneyland, as you can see a guy dressed in a Mickey Mouse costume being the sole subject of this photo. What makes this photo outright creepy is the way the guy in the costume is looking at the camera. Even though he had the Mickey Mouse mask on, the stare is scary enough to give any kids, or probably any adults, a trauma for life.
Wow.
The scariest experience she ever had. She had been a camp counselor for a small outdoors camp in the summer, which lasted about a week. On a particular hot summer night, my mom was rolling around in her bed, unable to sleep because of the humid heat. Her other friend, who I'll call Rachel, was also awake at the time. Around 1:30 a.m., my mom received a notification to not leave the area. Apparently 4 convicts had escaped from a local prison and were on the run. Rachel was freaking out and hurriedly woke up everyone despite my mom telling her to calm down. After arguing with the campers and the other counselor, she had convinced the group to go to the boys' cabin to see if they were fine. They left out through the back cabin door and snuck behind bushes, making as little noise as possible. Unfortunately, they had to make it across a little clearing to reach the men's cabin. After checking multiple times, they ran to the boys' cabin and knocked till my mother's guy best friend opened up. He raised a questioning look before letting them in after seeing how scared everyone was. The guy laughed after Rachel said she was scared because of the escaped convicts and reassured her. Around 2 hours later, my mom and everyone headed back to their cabin and fell asleep. The next day,
Bro.
everyone was a bit freaked out, but was sure nothing had happened to them. Until my mom walked around to see the back of the cabin. It seemed someone had scraped the back doors and unsuccessfully tried getting in. She was freaked out by it and went home early. Later, she found out on the news only 3 convicts were captured, and has always thought back to that night and wondered what would have happened if they stayed in their cabin.
Damn.
Hello, my name is Joe and I'm 10, from a small farm in Nebraska. I have 2 sisters, Annie and Scarlett, and they're 16. Our farm used to be quite large, but as time went on, people and animals have been taking our crops and littering. But that's besides the point. Our family was never wealthy and we didn't have much. It happened about a year ago before I found out about this channel. I live near Medicine Creek, and our tractor broke down, so we had to pull it all the way to Cambridge. There had recently been people hunting animals nearby, and our parents didn't want our livestock getting killed. Our parents had me and my sister stay at the farm in case the hunters came to collect food. So my sister and I were watching the television when we heard rustling in the crops. Then our dog, Scout, started barking when the first gunshot went off. I yelled and screamed, but Scarlett put her hand over my mouth. We tried to call the police, but the phone line was out. Damn it. He cut the phone line. Next, the man shot at the window and jumped through. We ran straight upstairs to our bedroom. I saw a glimpse of his face. He was skinny with mildly red eyes and short, black, greasy hair. He pointed the rifle at me but missed. My sister shoved me into the room as she pulled out a knife and ran at the man. Then the most terrifying part. A bullet flew into my sister's arm. She screamed as the man pointed the gun at me. Thankfully, the man fell downstairs as Scout bit a chunk off of his leg. I grabbed the knife, then ran straight at him. I stabbed him 4 times as blood splattered everywhere on the wall. The police showed up eventually because the neighbors saw the commotion. Thankfully, no one was majorly hurt. I just hope that nothing like this ever happens again.
Wow. That is...
My name is Luke. This happened to me in August last year on a Friday. I was 20 at the time. My parents were going out of town for a week. They said I could invite some friends over, so I called my friend Mark. He asked if he could bring his little brother since he was babysitting him. So when they got here, we decided to get pizza. We were waiting for the pizza. So I said, "Hey, do you want to have a sleepover?" He said, "Of course, but my brother's going to have to stay." I told him that was fine. So while we were waiting for the pizza, we were playing video games. And then the pizza arrived and we ate and played more video games. Then we went to bed. He and his brother were sleeping on the floor on a mattress. At 2:30 a.m., he woke me up and said, "I don't feel good. I'm gonna go home." So when he left, I went to pick up the mattress, and I saw a complete man under my bed. I screamed.
What the fuck? Hold up, what the... You're telling me that that guy, his friend, woke up and he didn't see the guy under his fucking bed?
Mattress. At 2:30 a.m., he woke me up and said, "I don't feel good. I'm gonna go home." So when he left, I went to pick up the mattress, and I saw a complete man under my bed. I screamed, "Ah!" I ran out of the room and called 911. He woke up from my scream and tried to leave. Then I tackled him before he could get to the front door. The police came 5 minutes later. Turns out he was homeless. They put him in handcuffs and he looked at me with an ugly grin. I noticed he had a knife in his back pocket. The police told me he might be going to prison for 1 year. Turns out he's been in my house for a week. The question we were all asking was, how did he get in the house? Nobody knows.
No, the question is that we're all asking, why the fuck didn't your friend warn you about the guy inside your house? He was sleeping there the entire time? Yo, you have an L friend, bruh. You have an L friend. Well, according to everything, this is according to the time right now, this is all that I got right now. So thank you everyone for watching. If you are watching, please subscribe and like the video. Show some support to your boy so I can keep on making more videos, y'all. Because I love making YouTube content for people. I want to make people happy on YouTube. But anyways, thank y'all for watching. I'll see y'all later. Goodbye.